from Jupiter, Florida. Eddie?
Hey, you nailed the last name, by the way.
I've been practicing for like 9 years.
Thank you for that. It was perfect. Yes, hi everyone. My name is Eddie Arguelles. I'm a real estate broker here in beautiful Jupiter, Florida. I've been practicing real estate for just over 20 years now. Initially started my career in Chicago and moved my family to Florida about 12 years ago now. I also am a dad of two beautiful young ladies who are now have flown the nest. So I'm now officially an empty nester, which is kind of cool and different. And I've been practicing real estate full time all these years, and also help other agents build their brands with a lot of video marketing as well. So thank you for having me on the call today.
Great, thank you very much. Eddie, can you please define luxury in your market?
Sure. Well, being third to answer this question, there's a lot of parallels with what the ladies have said before me. And really, it's much less about price point as it is lifestyle. Here in Florida, we obviously, for many, many years, this has been a destination for people that are looking to retire, people who have had successes in their lives professionally, and along the way they end up buying a small place to just kind of sample Florida, and then they end up loving a spot or moving to the other side of the coast, because both coasts have a different flavor, of course. But certainly luxury is defined by the ability here to just enjoy, unwind, relax, and enjoy the fruits of the successes that many people have had, that allows them to buy their second, third, fourth, fifth home here, and have family come down, and maybe they go to Disney, or maybe they just spend the day out on the ocean on the boat. That's really, I think it's the smiles on the faces of the people who move here. I think that is the epitome of luxury for a lot, and I see it. There's this deep breath that is taken when they're able to enjoy again the fruits of their labor over the years.
Thank you. Why don't you keep the chair for the second moment, Eddie, and just talk about the feeder markets that you currently have coming down to your Jupiter area?
Sure. Well, that one's, again, has been a very traditional route, where people that do end up coming down, certainly a large concentration remains from the East Coast, upper East Coast, New York, New Jersey, Philly, Maryland, a lot of Maryland lately. And up until recently, we haven't really had a lot of California, but now we have a lot of California, and I'm sure that a lot of people on this the people on this panel, and as well as our guests with us today, understand why there's been a little bit of a shakeup in California, whether it's political or economic, socioeconomic changes that have really made Florida a very interesting option for a lot of people that end up moving here. So the phone did not really ring as much from California before, but it certainly does now, and it's a really kind of interesting dynamic. So those would be the greatest feeder markets that we continue to have here in Florida, and South Florida specific.
Similar answers to the same question about what else they're spending their money on?
Yeah, so this one's really interesting because, as much as we have a lot of quiet wealth and quiet money here in Florida, and certainly in places where it's a little bit not in the thick of it, like a Miami, we also have some very loud, very boisterous, very showy, very flashy money here as well. And so when you have that, you tend to see a lot of enjoyment and investment to a certain degree in automobiles and certainly yachts. Obviously a large yachting community and a large yachting lifestyle here, which typically goes in tandem with all of the waterfront properties that we have available here. So it's just part of the lifestyle to be able to hop on your yacht, invite your friends, and just shoot over to the Bahamas for the weekend, or even just for the day. So again, it's all very much in line with the lifestyle. And again, for many, it's that time to really enjoy the fruits of their labors. And so it tends to show itself in those two additional assets.
Right. Isn't the Miami Boat Show, I think it's coming up in a week or something like that?
It is. And then we had the Fort Lauderdale one, and closer to us, we have the Stuart one. So they're all very, very, very well attended. And I believe that England Volkers, of course, was involved in Fort Lauderdale, and it's going to be involved in the Miami one. I don't think they've involved themselves in the Stuart one, which is a little bit smaller rather, but definitely have a presence as a brand there as well.
Eddie, how do you think it might have changed pre-COVID? I'm sure you had so many people flooding down to Florida during that time frame.
Yeah, and really, there's so many, again, similarities because this is not so specific to a certain area, just a different lifestyle and the way people wanted to live. But certainly, yes, the ability to move to a warmer climate, whether it's Florida or somewhere else, affords you the opportunity to spend more time outside. And I think for a while there, as we were starting to learn, the intricacies of and the specifics of COVID and how it worked, we wanted to be outside, breathe fresh air. And so, of course, our climate for a large portion of the year really allows you to do that. And so outside spaces became very, very important, of course. And as the workforce changed, as requirements changed professionally, we started to need more indoor spaces for offices, for workspaces, and just more space in general on the inside. We saw a lot of people bringing in their elderly parents, I think even a little bit sooner, a little bit faster, taking them out of, so that was a really unique kind of circumstance where they were more interested in taking them out of the retirement home kind of setting amongst a lot of other people. So there was a need for bringing mom and dad into the home, and so then of course that expanded the house as well, and also changed out the footprint a little bit. So definitely a concentration to bring everything back home. And technology has just continued after we've kind of gone past this, hopefully, and not look back at it too soon. This whole COVID pandemic, that moving forward, it's just become something that's going to stick with us. We're all now able to work from home. The technology has now made it so that it becomes much easier to do so. So I don't think a lot of these things are going to stay in place in the way we live, and not go back.
Right. Thank you very much. Do you think being in Florida, has anything changed in terms of the wellness factor? Is there anything that's affecting their real estate purchase in terms of wellness?
You mean their physical health, the wellness of people?
Are they, doing anything else? Are you seeing them wanting to put in more gyms?
I see.
Anything?
Yes, again, for the same reasons that we just kind of touched on with regard to the impact of COVID, was to have everything more in your home, not really have to go anywhere. What we saw too was a unique increase in the type of pool that they would put in. More exercise lap pool style was coming in more, as opposed to the just lounging in a hot tub type of pool. So that was a unique change, really kind of specific. But absolutely exercise areas, and not necessarily inside of your piece of real estate, but also local gyms became a lot smaller, became a lot more of a tighter group. Not such big box areas, and so a lot of those businesses started to spring up as well. Also, an influx of personal training and coming to your home to train you. That all those segments also increased, again, for the interest of keeping you at home and keeping you quote unquote safe.
Eddie, how would you say you find your clients and your consumers for your real estate business?
So it's really interesting. It's really kind of taken a 180 here in the past couple of years. The previous, lion's share of my career in real estate specifically, again, I've been doing this, full time, has been in a very traditional way. A lot of ways where it's just, being where, very much like Vanessa's saying, being where the people, your ultimate client, that type of personality is, where they're spending their time, and socializing and being in those environments. Obviously, also making yourself known to other successful agents in other markets, specifically feeder markets, of course, and then also local reach outs and reaching out to past customers and keeping that database alive and healthy. Because obviously that's the greatest source of your business, is people that already know you, like you, and trust you, right? That's something we've heard before in different ways. So those really have been the kind of the bedrock of the business, up until a couple of years ago, where I decided to make this concerted effort and commitment into video marketing specifically. I just started to take a different look at the way technology married with people that were searching to live in our area. And we realized that a lot of them were doing research ahead of time in their jammies in bed at 1 o'clock in the morning, researching towns and areas that they would love to visit or possibly even move in because family's already there, or they know that they like that area, have been thinking about it. And so we've made an effort to really be present in those search results. And we're present by way of video. So we create, again, a form of being an ambassador, right? We're on camera. We show up when someone's searching for a certain community or a certain town, and then we're there to be the tour guide, if you will, of that lifestyle, of that community, of that price point, of that type of home, whatever it may be. Because then when they're thinking about the way social media works and the way specifically YouTube works and Google works, they're all kind of in bed together. And so they all kind of work together. And so when someone's calling up a certain search, we want to make sure we're the ones that pop up for those types of searches and keywords. And so then we build a relationship, whether they know it or not, that we build a relationship. And so when they're ready, after consuming some of our content, they realize that, you know what, Eddie's the kind of guy that I want to do business with. I'm going to reach out to him. Or maybe not. Maybe Eddie's doesn't sound like he knows what he's talking about. I'm not going to do any business with him. And that's also good too, right? Because we want to work with the people that we key in with. So we find our tribe that way, and it's been a very successful endeavor for us.
Has it been a journey trying to find the right social media aspects over the last couple of years?
Always a journey. And will forever be a journey. And it's not a journey because we're still learning it, it's because you're always learning it, because the different platforms and the way you need to serve up the content is always changing. So that's why we need to always be, studying and testing. A great portion of the content we put out is really intentionally testing to see how it hits, how it receives, how often do people see it? Do they go back to it? How well did it do? What kind of feedback did we get? It's always constantly testing. And so if you're always testing, you're certainly going to start to sharpen that knife more and more and more and more until when you put out pieces of content are going to land exactly with the right person, with the right tone, with the right message at the right time. And then, again, you're building a relationship as opposed to me walking in your door and with some papers under my arm and saying, let me show you now how I'm the best agent for you. We've already built a relationship because they've been watching us in their jammies at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Do you have a team of people that do this? How many people do you think you need to do it right?
That's a really big question. It's also a question that I try to, or a myth I try to dispel, or a concern I try to dispel with clients that we've served in that direction, in that it doesn't have to start with the huge production team. As a matter of fact, the phone you have in your hand and a $20 microphone from Amazon and maybe a $40 light if you're going to shoot inside is all you need. And you can edit these things on your phone. Technology always makes it easier and faster and easier and faster. So you don't need a huge team. Like anything else, you need to spend a little bit of time to learn it. But it absolutely pays dividends. And I'll leave you with this real quick on this topic, is that what's nice about the content that we put out is especially when you tie it to YouTube, is that content is evergreen. It lives forever. So when your target client is searching for, in my case, there's this community here in the area called Watersong, and it's on the ocean, beautiful homes on the ocean. So when anybody searches Watersong, whose video pops up? Well, mine. And it keeps serving up the same content. And I only shot that video once, and it has transacted hundreds and hundreds of $1,000s of commission over my career. And that video is still the same video. And I have a lot more gray hair, but it's still serving me very, very well. And so that evergreen concept is really, really powerful. So it's not like you're constantly doing and creating and creating and creating all the time. It's very strategic, but it's very effective. And if I may, Paula, too, it's important to understand, to stress, especially those watching, that there's always concern about technology advancing and taking over people's jobs. But the fact of the matter is that this is still very, very much, although there's transactional components to the business that we do, very, very much and forever will be relationship, trust, brand, kindness, listening, all of these things, trust, to be able to transact with something that likely is one of the greatest assets that they'll ever own.
What's the best way to break into the luxury market?
So I love this question, because a lot of times people, I think I'll start with this, in that brokers, newer brokers, younger brokers, whatever, age-wise doesn't really make a difference. Agents in general, they feel like it's this unique space that is isolated from them, that they have to know a gimmick or a trick or a database or a something to get in. And the fact of the matter is, I think one of the most important things I could share with those thinking about breaking into the luxury field is that they're just people. They're just people like you and I, with a lot of the same hang-ups, insecurities, awkwardness sometimes, unsure about what they're doing or what they want to do. There's just so many things that keep us all very much in common, that I think you should really start with knowing that there isn't this magic gate, there isn't this magic fence that you have to find a secret combination to. Treat them like you would treat anyone else. Now, certainly there are aspects that do play in well or do play in more commonly with someone who's a high net worth individual. There are typically, many times, not everyone, but you do get people that are used to a very high level of service, a very discriminating level of service, and discriminating in the good sense, not in the negative sense, but a very specific hand-holding and a very, very high level of expectation to your expertise. So one tactical thing I would share would be make sure that if you're going to step into the luxury market, that you're stepping into a niche that is very specific to a certain type of buyer or seller, so that you can become incredibly educated and adept at that community, that market, whatever it may be that you choose to, because you like it, you have an affinity towards it, you've spent some time in that area or that arena, you have a bit of an in already because of experiences you've had. I think that would be the most tactical thing I would say. But I think if you lead with, there isn't some real secret sauce. You just have to be, like Vanessa was saying earlier too, you've got to be in that room. You've got to be networking with those people in order for you to have those conversations. But I think treating them like you would treat anybody else is going to be the way to make that relationship what you want it to be, hopefully a successful transaction.
Thank you. Anything emerging in your area you think you want to share with everyone?
Well, it's South Florida, and it always seems to be gangbusters everywhere you look. I mean, it's just the amount of growth and optimism and interest from the development side and the developers that I work with. It's just incredibly optimistic. They're maybe a little bit more careful about the certain properties that they zero in on to develop, but not much. I mean, they're still throwing, large. They're writing large checks to buy a lot of property and developing it. Obviously, if you're looking down further south into the Miami market, that's, of course, red hot with everyone internationally. It's not until you move further north that you start to get into probably more areas where people want the more relaxed lifestyle. But really emerging, I would say just the speed, and not so much a specific market or price point or aesthetic or anything like that. More I see, just the speed of development, not only in high rise but also single family throughout the area. And we still have a lot of the coast that, because obviously these communities that I'm talking about and that I represent are really coastal communities right along the water. And so there's a lot of opportunity inland. And I think that one of the recent developments here locally in South Florida was the introduction of the Bright Line, which is a fabulous train that starts at Miami and goes further north up the coast. And right now the short schedule is to terminate at Orlando. So it's going up the coast, and so it makes it so much easier for you to live further up, further up north the coast. And for those people that are moving here because they want to enjoy their grandkids, just the ability to hop on a beautiful train, and it really is beautiful and seamless. Their stations are gorgeous. The trains themselves are beautiful and pristine. Of course, it's all newer, so it's going to be pristine. But I think they really have a good thing there, and it's just going to help further bolster the development and the growth of Southeast Florida.
I've seen the Bright Line train, and I actually have some friends that have taken it from Jupiter down to Miami, and they say it's easy, fast, cheap.
It's the way to go. It's absolutely the way to go. When we go to Miami now, Or also it gives you the option, from more of a practical perspective, if you do live further north, you can get on the Bright Line and then just fly into Miami, because obviously Miami is a hub for flying out to anywhere you want, right? So then you can get a lot of direct flights out of Miami. So from practical purpose, it's also really nice. Thank you. Thank you for putting this together, Paula. Really appreciate it. Thank you, ladies, for being on the panel. If I can be of service to anybody, any random question you may have, don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you again. It's always nice to be invited to these panels to discuss, emerging trends, the luxury market specifically. Lovely to be on a panel with ladies from diverse markets where we can certainly do business together, but staying on top of the latest trends is so incredibly important, especially if you're an agent looking to break into the luxury market. Really understanding who your client is, what they're looking to accomplish, and how to start a conversation with them that's genuine, that so that they know rather that you're there to help them, and that you have a level of expertise to handle a very sometimes sensitive, delicate, but very important nonetheless transaction in their life. So thanks so much for sticking around. I hope this little clip helped. If you're going to use it, Ryan, I don't know, but we'll see, man. Have a great day.